Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Pocatello Business Podcast. I'm here with Jensen Tanner. He is not only my nephew, but my podcast editor extraordinaire, and also what I would call a virtual assistant for the Pocatello Business Podcast. And I know a lot of you out there are probably thinking virtual assistants is a weird concept, but we're going to prove you guys wrong today. Jensen, welcome to the show. You've been editing it and you've been seeing every episode. How is it like to be on the show now?
It's great. Been waiting to finally get asked on, so it's a pleasure.
Well, this kid, you're a senior in high school right now, right?
Yep.
You're a senior in high school. How did you get into wanting to, do the editing and the films and all that kind of stuff?
So it started probably sophomore year. I had to do some videos for school, and I thought it was pretty fun. So I started a YouTube channel, started doing some more video stuff on that end, and found this just kind of love for video editing and everything that goes into producing films and all that. And it's just kind of led up to this point.
I like it. So when I asked you if this is something you could do, it just kind of seemed like second nature for you, right?
Yeah.
There was a bit of a learning curve, I'm sure on some of the podcast stuff, since that was new to you.
Yeah, it definitely is it's a more professional kind of situation than what I've been doing just for fun. So there's definitely more that goes into it.
Perfect. So Jensen, as these people out here, if they heard me talk a lot about, because I have virtual assistants, you're my third virtual assistant that does stuff for me. Am I looking over your shoulder every second of the day and telling you exactly how to do things, or how do I work with you?
So really, it's just you tell me what you want me to do, and you kind of give me some guidelines of this is what I want it to look like. And I think there's a lot of trust that goes into that, because it's like you just kind of hand that to me, and it's like, I'm expecting you to do it this way, and it just gets done. That's
right. And people, when you're out there, if you're hiring smart people, you can get to the point that you can say, this is what needs to happen. This is the deadline. Obviously, Jensen has deadlines on when he needs to publish it onto our podcast channels, and publish it on YouTube and our Facebook, and it gets done. It magically happens without me having to look at every little detail, make sure everything's edited perfectly. There's not a lot of editing going on anyways. You guys know, you've listened to enough episodes. I'm a bumbling fool. No big deal, but that's how it is. But things are happening without my actual hands and fingers touching them. And that's why virtual assistants are amazing. And that's why you should be bringing them into your facilities and your business, not your facilities, because they're virtual. So Jensen, what's your favorite part of doing all this right now, besides the money?
Well, besides the money, that's hard. I think just the experience of it. I love video editing, and so every chance I get to kind of learn more and progress through that, and I think it's just going to get me ready for everything I want to do in the future.
I like it. So there's a lot of people out there that want to use everyone else's. I'm talking to everyone that's listening right now. Your business as a resume building for themselves, as freedom for themselves. Jensen, I'm sure there's been times that you've been on the beach. You've been probably, in between maybe snow skiing, and you're find time to make this happen and still get paid, right?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it, is just being able to do it whenever I don't have a certain, there's a schedule of when it needs to be done, but I have a lot of wiggle room of when I actually want to work on it.
And that's a big movement going forward, guys, especially with this pandemic that happened, is a lot of people have seen the freedom of working from home and that kind of stuff brings. Some people can do it, some people cannot, especially when you have kids and stuff. But there are people that enjoy giving them some guidelines, tell them what needs to happen and a deadline, and they're competent enough people to do it. And if they're not, as you hire multiple people to do the same job, like number one, if Jensen wasn't my nephew, so there is some nepotism here because he's my nephew. But if he wasn't my nephew, and number one, if he couldn't do the right job, he wouldn't be doing it anyways. But if he was my nephew, I would hire at least 2 to 3 people to do the same job. And then I would see whoever did it the best and who had the least amount of excuses to get the job done the right way would have the job. The other 2 could find another avenue or if you had enough work for the other one, maybe that was good and maybe not a perfect fit for this job, but you could find maybe a fit for somewhere else, then do that. So the best thing is when you find someone competent and they're doing the job that you set out for them to do well, then you can continue to give them more and more and more stuff off your plate that helps free up your day and your creativity up so you can continue to build your company, build the life that you want, and make some more of that walking around money. Am I right, Jensen? Is that you like that freedom of working whenever you want to work?
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to be able to just work around school and everything else going on.
Perfect. All right, Jensen, is there any hidden gems from listening to all the episodes that we've done so far? We've done what? We're coming up on 100. Do you know what episode this one's going to be?
I believe this is 95 or 96. 96.
Okay. So, do you have anything that sticks out in your mind that's like, as we've talked to some of these brilliant people that have been on our show, what are maybe one or 2 things that stuck out in your mind? They're like, wow, that's something I'm going to hold on to.
That's a hard one. There have been so many great guests and everything on the show. I think one of the big things is mindset. I know a lot of the people that have come on your show have talked about mindset and really just, if you know how to motivate yourself, you're going to be able to get so much more done. And if you don't, you need to find those small things that motivate you. And I think that's one of the big things of being a virtual assistant is if you aren't motivated, then it's kind of hard to get stuff done because you're working from home. You are in a workplace with someone looking over your shoulder. So mindset is definitely, I think, my number 1. And number 2, I honestly don't know. I think just having that schedule of when you want to get stuff done and just kind of planning out your day. I can't remember what episode it was that you said planning out in like those 30-minute increments. And that's definitely helped me because I can figure out, okay, I need to get school done during this part of the day, work done during this part of the day, and then all of the stuff that I want to do for myself later on. So having that schedule and that mindset, I think combined will help you be way more productive than you could imagine.
Man, some wise words right there, man. Time tracking and mindset, that is huge. And people, if you guys would utilize that, tracking your time and exercising some more mindset, realizing that there's so much more you can accomplish if you're not the only one having to do it. So that's the thing is if you can let go of the reins just a little bit and trust someone to do some of the things that you have been doing that but you shouldn't be doing because there's more things fitted to your talents and higher dollar tasks that you should be doing instead of messing around with, if I could do the video editing, it would take me a while to learn it and I would hate doing it, but wouldn't it be easier for me just to pay Jensen to do it? It's exactly why I do it. It frees up my time. I don't want to be stuck doing video editing. I want to be stuck finding, you guys as brilliant guests to be on the show and continue to grow my company on the other side with Nuclei. So think of the high dollar things that you should be doing focus on those things, and those other things that you are doing that you shouldn't be doing, find virtual assistants to do those things and thin slice it. I have Jensen does the video editing, all that kind of stuff for me, all that type of video tech stuff. I have someone doing some small HR stuff for me. I have someone else doing scheduling for me. Could I find someone that could do all of it? Sure. But what happens when that person leaves? Then I'm stuck filling this massive, gap to fill instead of just a thin slice to fill. So, Jensen, you hit the nail on the head. Mindset is huge, and you have to be able to let go, and you have to be accountable to yourself with tracking your time. And it's something I'm learning more and more every day, and it helps me to be more efficient. So, any other wise words as we're closing down this episode?
I think just really with, how everything's been changing, you got to find those things that are going to get you where you want to be. Motivation has been a hard one. I know, like, for a lot of people, staying motivated is hard. So break it down into those small things that you want to get done and stick to it. I think one of the main problems I had last year was I would have a solid schedule, and I'd be, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and this today. And I'd get like the first two things done, and then I would start watching YouTube, or I'd like start watching some TV series, and it would just kind of fall apart through the rest of the day. So I think making your plans, sticking to them, and not stopping until you've gotten where you want to be.
I like it, man. And I would ask you, what are your favorite softwares you use? But I'm sure that's one of your video softwares that you use for editing. And I don't want people to know that, because if they're asking for that, they're in the wrong podcast. They need to find the DIY podcast of I don't want to be efficient, and I want to do everything myself and keep doing lower task items instead of the creative items I need to be doing as a business or owner or a manager. Not putting anything down on video editing, Jensen, but and those people that are listening that possibly are in a videography as a profession, you already know the software anyways. But you guys hire it out, enable people to do the right things, empower them to make the right decisions, and you'll be successful. Jensen, thank you for being on the show. As always, this episode is sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. Call Rob if you mention the podcast. He'll give you 1 month for free, or your installation for free, when you sign up for a 3-month billboard rental. So give them a call. You can Google at Dell's Outdoor Advertising. I don't have their phone number on hand, but it's easy to Google, and give Rob a call. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jensen, for being on the show, and we'll see you next episode.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community.